I am the mother now. This is not about having children. This is about reparenting your inner child and becoming the woman who no longer abandons herself to be chosen. So we are going to look at about 5 chapters. I'm going to be very quick because we need to get this done and over with. In chapter 1, I named this chapter, I Am Mother Now. Here, we are going to look at how to fully reparent ourselves. And then we are going to go to chapter 2, where we look at the grieving daughter. It is important to see ourselves, where we come from. Number 3, we are going to talk about the inner child versus the inner matriarch. And then number 4, the sovereign womanhood. And last but not least, chapter 5, energetic mothering. How do we mother ourselves without projecting ourselves into the world and viewing our mothers as enemies and people who did not give us the right tools, even as adults, when we should be able to have the right tools right now. So again, I Am Mother Now is not about having children. It's about reparenting your inner child and becoming the woman who no longer abandons herself to be chosen. So how do we do this? In chapter 1, to say I am mother now is to take full responsibility for your inner world. This is going to be where you reconnect with yourself when you feel something. You have to pause, you have to quite understand so that when you speak, people actually listen. Number 2, you stop expecting others to rescue you, complete or validate you. Number 3, replace abandonment with radical presence. Number 4, soften without collapsing. Being soft doesn't mean people walk over you. Nurture your inner child with boundaries, not just love. So this is a cosmic activation, a cellular remembrance, a severing of the umbilical cord of patriarchal approval. So the raw teachings today are going to include being voicey, speaking, and being rebellious. So you're going to say this, I no longer need to be the daughter of someone's expectations. I am mother. I am my own becoming. I am not afraid to disappoint people anymore, especially when pleasing them cost me my soul. If love means shrinking, I choose solitude. If love mirrors my truth, I welcome it in full. Softness is not submission. My gentleness is a result of surviving without being cruel. So, the journal prompt today, what you are going to write, very important to always sit down and ask yourself these important questions. What mothering do I still secretly crave from other people? Where have I kept myself in the good girl loop to avoid abandonment? What does it mean to self-source love even when no one shows up? In what areas am I still the most emotionally mature person? Am I the most emotionally mature person in the room? And what boundary does that ask of me to hold? What do I now declare as sacred in how I mother myself? So, we are going to go to chapter 2, the grieving daughter. We grieve not only the loss of our mothers, protections, but the loss of a fantasy that she would one day become the mother we needed. This is not always about physical loss. It's invisible ache of unmet emotional presence, the pain of being raised by a woman who might have done her best, but whose best never made space for you. Most of us have always felt that our mothers grew up in a different time and we are moving towards a different time. Even our daughters feel the same way. They feel we grew up in another time and they're growing up in another time. Sometimes it can be very hard to relate, but we need to begin by understanding our mothers did the best they could. But if you have a mother who requires you to set strict boundaries because she will never stop, you have to go ahead and do that for yourself. So, in this part of the grieving daughter, we are going to look about we're going to talk about the fantasy we carry. Many daughters carry a deep hope. One day she will see me. But some mothers never become who we needed because they were never mothered either. I no longer wait for my mother to love me in the way I once needed. I learn how to love myself in those same places. Number 2, we look at the guilt and loyalty we have towards our mothers. For us to cut this umbilical cord, we have to also understand the relationship that we have with these patriarchal roots. So, the guilt and loyalty we have. She did her best, yes, and it still wasn't enough. Two truths can coexist. Where do I still protect my mother from my truth? What do I fear will happen if I say she hurt me? Very well. Let us go to chapter 3, the inner child versus the inner matriarch. This is where I felt most conflicted. Signs you're still letting the inner child drive. You wait for others to fix or rescue you. You wait for others to fix or rescue you. You suppress your truth to maintain peace. You abandon boundaries to just avoid rejection. You over-explain your choices, hoping to be approved. Once the matriarch now has arisen, you are waking up and you are doing what you need to do to reparent your inner child. You pause before reacting, not to suppress, but to stay in integrity. You say no without explanation because your energy is your responsibility. You don't prove worth through pain. You know value does not need struggle. You soothe your own nervous system before demanding others show up better. I think this is one thing I'll have to make another video on, which ways to soothe your own nervous system. Because I realize when a lot of people are blocked in their energy, things are happening. Instead of being contained, it's much easier to lash out at people, say things, feel things without having to figure this out as your own job. Even sit with the discomfort. It's okay. You don't rescue others from their lesson, even if it hurts to watch. We like, especially women, when our friends go through hard times, to put our noses inside there, to try to fix. We drain ourselves. You don't rescue others, especially when they're not in physical danger, even if it hurts to watch. Very well. We could possibly go to chapter 4, the sovereign womanhood. You don't need permission to choose yourself. Sovereign womanhood means you make decisions from alignment, not guilt. You don't over-explain your boundaries. You let go of needing to be liked and focus on being true. I am allowed to live a life that others don't understand. The journal prompts here is, where am I still making myself small to be digestible? What would my life look like if I stopped asking for approval? Who am I when I'm not trying to be good? Chapter 5, energetic mothering. You are not just healing, you are reparenting the wild, sacred ecosystem inside you. Your nervous system is not a battlefield, it's a temple, and not everyone should be allowed inside. What energetic mothering looks like? You stop explaining your silence or your needs for space. You choose your slow mornings, warm tea, soft music over rushed conversation. You start noticing when you feel contracted. You leave. You learn the difference between real connection and energetic obligation. You stop performing emotional labor as a form of currency. Journal reflections. What does safety feel like in my body and what makes me abandon it? Where am I still absorbing others' pain as a default setting? What parts of me still equate overstimulation with connection?